We're live right now.
Dougie Fresh your own. And then let me make sure I turn on Publix because I'm showing up forgot last
Your
time.
whole grandma just been off tonight. You all right, sis?
No, can I tell you at work? I have 3 events this week. And in the event world, like it's a lot. It's I'm just pray for me and check
I
on
can
my
tell this, honey. You've been a little off today. Just a little bit, just a tad bit.
Just a little bit, Shonda. Just a little bit.
But we have our moments, though. Don't get me wrong.
And I'm gonna be honest. For the whole month of April, excuse me, this is my busiest month. It's event season, so it is off.
Well, what's the most popular event?
Let's take 2 seconds to just make sure we're public. Make sure we're people are on and ready to listen.
And we've been live for a minute now. We're talking about craziness.
Yeah, but I didn't do it, so I need to do it real quick.
Wait, real quick. Wait, how Ryan gonna come on here checking us, Sean?
Somebody got to do it. Y'all are in rare form today.
He may get it together. So while we're doing that, today is Monday. Happy Monday.
Hey y'all.
So what did y'all do this weekend?
Oh my God. Okay. Friday, that's date night, but we took our father-in-law, well, my father-in-law, that's his father, with us and went to American Social. We love watching the yachts go by. That's my spot. Okay. And so we went there. And Sunday, oh my God, laundry. And Shonda, I folded and put away the clothes because you and I always fight about how the clothes end up in the corner. But yeah,
mine in the corner now since I came back from out of town.
Hey, shout out everybody in the chat. What's going on, Ryan, Katrina, Elisa, Tariq? I see you. All right,
let me
Gloria.
bring them in.
What's good, everybody?
We're gonna bring them in.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Here go Miss Gloria. Hey, Mama Gloria.
Oh, Mama Gloria's on.
Hey, Gloria. And Ryan is here. He said, "What's up, TM family?" Yeah. We got Katrina. We got the whole family. Where's my nephew? I still ain't see my nephew.
Our lawyer, child, we're gonna have to go over there and debo the house or something. Oh, Katrina. Yes, it is a national holiday. It is Sexual Chocolate's birthday today.
Wait, did she say Sexual Chocolate?
Sexual Chocolate, which is also known as George Sexy Husband Roberts. Yes, nice. Honey, my husband's birthday is today.
You, man. I like that. That's tight.
I made up a full holiday.
Goals.
Listen, I have to appreciate that, man.
Hey, happy birthday, man. Happy birthday.
Thank you. It's really our birthday. You know what? It's his birthday. It's my birthday too. It's our birthday.
No, ma'am. Shonda, you can't let that man have a day.
Let that man have his day.
Exactly.
No, you make his day, but it's his day.
And I was supposed to drive to our date, but girl, I was tired. I ain't drive. He drove himself. But we went. I did take him on a date.
You made that man drive on his birthday,
Shonda. And he always drives, so I didn't want to, mess up our little mojo we got going on. I let him drive, It's okay. We got there, and I slept on the way back.
Let me go live on IG because nobody on Instagram knows what I'm doing right now because I got no heads up. I got nothing.
Thank you. You know what, Ryan? Don't do us like that.
I got the last minute call. I got the emergency call. The building was burning down. I got the call.
Wait, so that's what I put in the text: emergency. So
emergency. I got the emergency call. Building was burning down. I had to run into it with a cape on.
I literally put emergency in the text, and I appreciate you for not even saying, "Girl, no." So
can't say no. It was after my classes. If it's after my classes, it's probably gym time, but no gym today, so we're here, man.
Okay. Yay! Thank you for joining. Ryan, we're gonna add a picture to you at the very end.
I was thinking the same thing. Like I was like, I don't see me in there.
You might as well. You might as well.
We gonna say it.
You know, we got another year coming up. We have to revamp some things. We gotta
Another season.
Go back to contracts and see if we could add a little something in there.
We're doing a new photo shoot, so Ryan, we're throwing you in there.
That season. Okay, that season. All right.
Well,
all right, let's chop it up.
Well, good evening, everyone. Thank you again for coming back to tune into another episode of Talk Miami. I see a lot of our loyal listeners. We really appreciate you all. Everyone that's on here, please give us some hearts, some likes. Please share this broadcast. We're going to be talking tonight about some very good topics. Well, I hope all of our topics are always good, but since I'm hosting tonight, y'all know I usually talk about either relationships or something going on. So tonight, guess what? Since I work from home, I find a lot of stuff on TV that I have not seen before because I'm somebody that has to work with noise. Something has to be on while I'm working. And I usually have on YouTube or Netflix. And for the past couple of weeks, I've been watching YouTube. I don't know how I got onto this show called Switch Couples Therapy.
YouTube or Netflix?
It's on YouTube.
They got it. Okay. All right.
Wait, what's my video? Oh, there it is.
Wait, it's on YouTube or you said Netflix or YouTube?
It's on YouTube.
Yeah, it sounds like something that would be on YouTube.
Exactly.
No, but it was a show. It's just, I guess they're putting off. It's old. It came on, I think it aired in 2017. I don't know how, I'm just saying it. So
okay, I'm listening.
2017, but sometimes YouTube TV starts airing shows that are old or whatever. So I started watching, I went all the way back to season 1. So I'm going to give you all this little video first, and then we'll go into it. I hope
Millions of Americans dream of finding that one perfect person.
Our wedding day, I was like on cloud 9.
I knew in that moment that I wanted to spend the rest of my life with her.
Definitely the best day of my life.
I thought we were going to last forever.
But at some point, many people become dissatisfied and restless.
Maybe we could spend some time together.
You got something going on tonight.
What are you talking about? I'm talking about those ones.
Shut out.
And wonder if they made the right choice.
He needs to just really step it up. Not only as a man, but as a husband.
Could I have been happier with someone else?
Tonight, 4 brave couples will participate in an extreme and inventive experiment called Switch Therapy.
This switch is crazy.
What the hell did I get myself into?
They will leave their lives behind and will switch spouses.
Eric and I are going to be separated for 2 weeks, and I'm basically going to be having a fake husband, and Eric's going to have a fake wife.
I'm a little scared. You're going to feel things that you haven't felt in a long time.
Why?
Yo, are you cool with it?
What are you thinking?
They'll live in a new experimental marriage with someone who fulfills the qualities that each person thinks they really want in a partner.
Alicia's really good looking.
Oh, that's so sweet. Neil, he's been so attentive to me. I feel like I'm getting back to my fun self.
So far, I'm really happy who I'm paired up with.
I'm pretty comfortable with 2 of us being in one bed.
Oh my gosh.
Would you put your marriage on the line?
Maybe the grass is greener.
If you cheat on me, Eric, you know what's going to happen.
In order to save it,
I will do anything and everything to save our marriage.
will they fall in love with their new life?
What would it be like if I was with someone like you?
Or will they recommit to their spouse and their marriage forever?
Oh, look at Ryan. Look at Ryan. No. Who is doing this?
A disaster waiting to happen, right, Ryan? Let's breathe in and breathe out. Because trust me, as much as I fuss the whole time I'm watching it. So
Sarah said, hell no.
And I wanted to show you all that long 2-minute video. I want you all to understand what it really is. I had some. Look, I got my notes. I had so much stuff to talk about this show from the beginning. So
I don't know where to start. I don't know where to start. I hope you're going to start because I don't know where to start. I don't even know where to start.
I'm going to start and then I'm going to throw y'all some questions. Okay, so It's called 7 year switch therapy. It's a cross between what we said earlier, 7 year itch and wife swap. I don't know if y'all seen wife swap before. Except with this show, I don't see any kids. I've never seen any kids in the houses, in any of the houses. So I believe they put each couple in separate houses, right? So these couples will have to decide if they want to stay together. And because they're having these problems in their relationships, they choose to do the 7 year therapy, switch therapy, to help strengthen their marriage, which I think is the stupidest thing. But however, let's entertain the fact, TK and Ryan, whether dating or husband or wife, whatever, that you do decide to do this. I know we wouldn't ever, but let's, for the sake of this segment, let's say that we would. One thing I see the couples do, they have boundaries. So you'll have a husband that say, well, he can't do this. He can't touch you, period. Y'all
wait. There's boundaries with the swap?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Oh,
that's not a swap.
That's not a swap. Then.
I said entertain the conversation.
But what about? But that's why I have mad questions. I need to, Shanda.
Right.
I need to understand some things before you ask the questions.
Okay, go ahead.
You watch the show. You watch the show.
Mm-hmm.
Are there boundaries? First of all, I'm looking at the comments and
George.
Are there boundaries and limitations to what's possible when you swap, or is it just
not between the producers of the show? A husband and wife can give each other boundaries, but the show is you do what you want to do. There's no
no. Okay. So okay. Okay.
Go ahead, Ryan.
I just told you I don't know where to start. One thing I can say right now, because you gave me the title of it, you used the word therapy. Why is the word therapy involved in this show?
Because they have some therapists, and I'm using quotation. They have some therapists that comes into the home where each couple is with their experimental spouse, and then they find. Okay, so let me start over. A couple will. So if you have a couple, husband and wife that's together, and you have a wife that maybe, let's say she's a homemaker, right? And then she's married to, she works as well, but then she's married to someone who does not spend a lot of time with her. He's always at work. He's very aggressive, and he's the alpha man in the home. They will pair her with someone like her and pair him with someone like him.
Fine.
So they're supposed to experiment. Hold on, Ryan. They're supposed to experiment with someone that is like them to see how it is to live with someone like them.
When you say experiment, though, is that if that's everything I experiment with my wife, the same kind of experiments?
These couples have no hold guard at all. They can do whatever.
So this is what I'm trying to say. All right, this is what I'm trying to say. On one hand, this show seems like an exercise that couples in a certain situation can take advantage of and explore some things inside of boundaries, which is, all right, look, go in and hang out with this person, but don't cross this line and see what it is to interact. But that to me is not organic.
Don't cross the line. They don't tell them that. The producers and the makers of the show do not say.
Of course, the producers don't. The producers want every line crossed. They're not going to make no boundaries. I know that for sure. Right. But they leave it up to the spouses to say whatever the case is, which is what you do in a marriage anyway, isn't it? I'm not married, never have been, but in marriage, there's understandings of what the limitations and what the some are implied, some are implicit, some are right.
They put you in a home with one bed, so now you.
No, ma'am.
That's what I'm saying. TK, go ahead and speak, and I'll jump back in. I mean,
no, ma'am.
What?
Oh, you want to ask me a question? Okay, go ahead.
I want to, but give me. I will. So they put you in a home with one bed. And you have to decide. So somebody will decide, am I sleeping on the bed, am I sleeping on the floor, whatever the case may be. I'm going to tell you something else. While all this is being done, of course, it's recorded. And they do it for 2 weeks. And midway through, the therapists take the recording of you and that experimental spouse and show it to your real spouse. And show them what you're doing over there. And show them what you're saying over there, causing more problems. I don't know who created the show, but it's stupid. But TK, go ahead. I know you have some things to say.
Okay.
First of all, I asked you a question a while ago. If you did do this, If I know you won't, it's out the question. I swear I know. But if you did do this, what would, if you had boundaries, what would your boundaries be? Or if you would have boundaries for your husband?
Sit in the corner. You can't look at him. You can't touch him. Listen, because I'm the type of person, and Farrell will tell you, let somebody even stare at him while he's with
Ma'am.
you. Excuse me?
Is your TV broke?
But you're not TK. You have to take the approach that you and your husband got to the point where you're both curious about if this is good for us.
Right.
You're clearly not there, which is a great thing.
Right. But the only thing I will agree on, okay, sometimes, and I would say this, and I hope I don't offend anyone, but I do believe in this. In some states, before you get a divorce, they do make you go through a legal separation, because sometimes couples don't know what it's like until you are removed out of the relationship. But the moment you start talking about, I'm actually giving you permission to be with someone else,
this is something else.
Crossed the line. We have completely crossed the line. I think I understand why they're doing it.
This is some Jada Pinkett Smith shit. This is some next level.
Exactly. Will and Jada. I understand.
Not Will. No, Will's not Will.
You know what? You're right.
Will was sitting watching the show. He wasn't even
entanglement. They need to call this entanglement. They need to change the name. But I understand what they're trying to do. I can understand what they're trying to do. They want to see them being separated to see if they really can't live without one another.
And
but
also
I think that
you live with someone like them. Remember that part.
Ooh,
that's
I don't know if I could do that.
I have so many.
Okay, go ahead, Ryan. I
have so many problems with this, because first of all, what's happening is you're taking a couple. This is a big cop out, is what this is. Because what's happening is they're finding people who maybe got married for the wrong reasons. They're both as equally immature as the other person in the relationship, and so they're both flirting with this idea of some answer being outside of the relationship, which is naive, and it goes against what a marriage is actually about. You think that a marriage is going to signify, basically says that there's going to be no issues, no problems, we're going to get along perfectly, and you're not ever going to question this ever for the rest of our lives. What? If you think that going, and I've never been married, but I've been around enough married people and read enough about marriages to know that's what happens. So if you're going to wait until you get to the point where you start questioning things to then say, well, maybe we should keep our marriage, but do something outside the marriage to see if it will save the marriage. Because my next question is, I know I'm going off right now. I can't even contain myself sometimes.
No, go ahead. Educate us.
Shanda, what is the purpose? What is the end outcome? Is it to see if this entanglement on the show will help their marriage? Like, legitimately, do they think going and sleeping in one other bed with, like, because let me go back for a second and TK, I'll answer it. Like, I can tell you right. Let me tell you right now what's going to happen. Like, because dead ass, like, this is crazy. You put me on that show and I get to the point with my wife at the time where because like I said, it's a cop out. You basically are in your relationship where you're not happy. You're not satisfied on some level to the point where you don't think the whole relationship can work. You might even be good with like 70%, but at 30% is enough for you to say, this is something wrong, but I don't want to throw it away for 70. So if I get to that point with whoever I'm with and I get on that show and I'm willing to even go through with this, I'm sleeping in that bed. Like, why would you go that far? What are the boundaries for? Who and why? What?
He got a million and one.
There was a husband. So there was a husband and wife that he said that. So they also send them on road trips. So in the middle of this 2 weeks, they go out of town together, like Smoky Mountain or something. They go on different trips, and they're supposed to see, like I said, they're supposed to see how it is living with someone like you. So if you're someone who's mean and aggressive and or lazy or don't cook, you're being paired with someone who's the same.
Teaching them a lesson to see how it feels.
Shanda, in theory, Shanda, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh no. So one guy, the only good thing I saw out of it this one time, out of seeing 3 seasons, he did decide to go home.
TK, she watched 3 seasons of this foolishness.
I did. Exactly. I stayed home all day. And it just
why did it pull her in is what I want to know.
So he went home. He did say he wanted to start cooking and helping his wife out. She was more the meek spouse. So she felt like he wanted her to be superwoman. He wanted her to cook, clean, and stay in shape and do all of this. And she felt like it was too much pressure on her. So he did go home and start cooking because he was paired with a woman who's an ER doctor, who of course does not cook, clean, and do nothing else. So they had to figure out, okay, who's gonna cook? Because now both of us together, we're used to someone cooking and cleaning for us. So that's one of the good things. Now, one of the bad, well, I saw a lot of bad things, but something I saw recently, there was a man. He said, "Well, my wife won't do this show. I don't want to do it. So for right now, she's my ex. What you want to do?" Basically, what he asked his experimental wife, "What you want to do?" She said, "Well, you still married?" He said, "No, I'm not." Oh, and they give them rings. They have a separate pair of wedding rings. This show is a complete
look.
False.
I think in theory, Shanda, tell me if I'm wrong. I think in theory, what I hear you saying, and what they're really trying to hit on is they're trying to satisfy the curiosity, or I should say, prove to them and show to them what it would be like if they were with someone, quote, that was different than their spouse, maybe more like them in a certain sense. Yeah. Like the whole, so, and what they're trying to do is they're trying to do it in a dramatic way where they're like, okay, go ahead and experience it for 2 weeks, right?
Yeah.
Go ahead and experience this personality that you the opposite of your spouse. Let's go experience the opposite, because they probably pick the opposite of their spouse as much as they pick the same as them. And go ahead and experiment and be around that person so that you can get out of your system that would be the answer, and that's why you're not getting along with the person that you're with, because they're not more like you.
I don't know what the reason is, but it's first of all, it's a dramatic show, so I watch it for the drama. But the whole time I'm like,
concept. Yeah. The concept.
I'm like, why? No, it's wrong because it makes absolutely no sense for what a marriage is supposed to be.
Yeah.
And then a lot of these couples say, well, I'm able to express myself with him. I'm able to express myself. Of course, they're a stranger. Everything has a honeymoon season. Of course, you're going to be open with that person.
Exactly. That's why
everything is going to be great
in
2 weeks. Because you're not doing life with that person.
You have a new person to talk to.
You're not having the emotions with that person.
That's why it's a joke. Because it's not, you can't switch 7 years. It's not like I'm gonna go be with you for 7 years, then I'll get back to you. They're doing it in 2 weeks.
Exactly. So
it's like it sounds like that weekend pass or whatever they call, like where you get a break from your marriage. Essentially. The weekend pass. Yeah, like which is also to each his own, but
crazy.
I mean, there's people that live in situations.
Remember the movie with Demi Moore? What was it called? Indecent Proposal.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah. That's pretty straightforward, though. Like, everybody knows what time that is. That's kind of like here's the money and whatever the case.
But then he regretted it, remember?
Yeah.
Yep. You playing with fire.
You think you're good until you're... And so, like, my thing is this. I don't know how much more you got on this. You know, I could talk for days on whatever it is. But my thing is, how do you reconvene in your marriage after whatever takes place there? Even say you're like, you know what, after this 2 weeks I realized that wasn't the problem, and I don't want to be with anybody else but you, but while I was over there this and this happened and I felt this type of way, and it's like, dude,
right,
even if the personality that you were spending time around proved to you that's not what you needed, or that you weren't the problem, but now you're bringing more issues back to the relationship that were never in the relationship. Now
there you go.
And the relationship wasn't strong to begin with, so now you're gonna think you're gonna carry that excuse around. You're gonna look you were already looking for an excuse to leave. That's why you signed up for the show, essentially.
Now wait a minute, you just got proposed to, right?
Yes, wait a
minute, Casey.
What's going on?
Wait a minute. The first engagement on Talk Miami. Listen, Ryan, you got the girls going on.
Hold on. You can't see the time. I need to.
What's happening?
Hold on. I want y'all to be quiet, because we are also a podcaster. For those that cannot read the comment, let me tell you what Casey said, honey. Ryan, marry me and let's show the world how it's done. You're brilliant, dynamic, and candid. Kudos. Y'all can come back and talk now. Casey, girl, listen, what you need us to do? We're going to help you out, sus. Yes, ma'am. Wait a minute.
Compliments.
This is our first proposal on Talk Miami. Ryan, you got the ladies going crazy. Now, wait a minute.
I just speak facts. I just speak facts. No, I was laughing so hard I turned red.
That sounds like a blush to me.
Oh man.
No, that's a blush. Casey is bold. Like, listen.
I hope. I don't know if I've ever blushed. I hope I'm blushing. That's wild. I'm here for it.
Ryan is blushing.
Talk to me. Let's go.
Okay.
Shout out to Casey, bro.
Yeah.
What time for
Casey, we're
Casey?
gonna bring you on the show. We're gonna have a date night.
Hey, follow me at the Ryan David. Let me see what time it is.
Let's do speed dating with Ryan. If y'all want to join in and be a contestant on the speed dating with Ryan show,
that's a whole nother show. That's a whole other show.
DM.
Okay, Ryan, can I share something with you? I didn't want to tell you.
No, definitely shit. But before you do, TK, I have to say, I don't know Casey, but I appreciate those. That's a hell of a compliment. I appreciate that. Thank you so much for the compliments. Thank you. I appreciate that. Especially from this little snapshot of my foolishness online. I mean, there's a lot more to me than this, but thank you so much. What were we gonna say, TK?
You appeared on Talk Miami last week for the first time, and you would not believe how many phone calls and text messages I got. Who is that?
Really? That's funny because I ain't got no new followers after that show. I don't think maybe 1 or 2, but that's funny. Where are they at? My handle's right there at the Ryan David.
Even my mom called me and was like, "I like Ryan."
Mama TK. Shout out to Mama TK. That's what I'm talking about.
So there you go.
George, what's up, George? I see you. All right, so like I said, and listen, to be fair, I don't have it all figured out, man. I know what I know, and I just talk about what I know, and I'm always willing to learn. I don't have it all figured out, but I know relatively what healthy is. And when we get far away from healthy, I can spot unhealthy.
Yeah.
You know? So
that's unhealthy.
Let me wrap up that part for you. So after all of this, they go back home to their spouses. Remember,
it still continues?
Because I'm gonna let you know what happens when they get home. So when they get home, they go into their spouses, and then they saw a video of what they were doing during the time with their.
But they didn't see a video of everything they was doing.
Well, no, but they'll see the show later on, of course.
Okay.
So then the therapists come to the house, show more video, and ask them if they're going to stay together or if they're going to divorce, which is stupid. But I have never seen anyone yet to say they're going to separate, but I'm sure some have, because there was one couple. This lady was so upset that the other lady kept touching her husband, but she was mad at the woman and not mad at her husband. When her husband was just as flirtatious as the woman he was with, but her whole anger was towards that woman.
That's crazy. Because I talked about this one time, Shanda. I talked about this one time, which is people that get upset at the person that their spouse cheats with, or their boyfriend cheats with, or girlfriend cheats with. It makes zero sense for you to get mad. And I see it. You see girls fighting the girls that their man cheated with, or the vice versa with the guys. And it's like, that makes zero sense to me. That person would not be in the equation if it wasn't for your person, for your man, or for your woman. It makes zero sense to me.
No one could break up a home except for the people that are in it.
But you know what that is? Let me just give you an example. You know what that is? That girl fighting that girl because her man cheated with her is the same thing as Will Smith slapping Chris Rock. Yeah. It's just deflecting. He's got all this anger about basically Jada and whatever, and so he's going to take it out on something else. It's a similar example is what that is. So
exactly. So I watched the show. I think I finished it all. I don't even know, but I did like the therapist talking to that young lady and let her know your husband was equally in the situation with her. She wasn't just flirting with him, but she still said, well, I believe what he said, and that's what it is. So I know they have some, further issues that happen. But like I said, this happened in 2017. I don't know who's still together. I didn't look it up. But that was a great conversation. I'm glad you all can come back down. Let's breathe.
That's wild.
That was real stuff. And I know our comment section was off the chain, honey.
It was.
We ain't doing that. So we're going to move on. Ryan, you want me to go? You want to go next, or want me to just move on?
Whatever you want to do, I'm ready.
All right, so we're going to go over to Ryan. He's going to give us a little bit of conversation. Our special guest. He's also a leadership and lifestyle coach. You all welcome again, Mr. Ryan David. Let's get some applause.
All right. So I thought about this, and it's a good segue, actually. I taught a little bit of a lesson today. The lesson I taught today, it was about love, actually. And so maybe this can serve as a little bit of how much time do I have, Shanda?
Got it. Go ahead.
How much time do I have, though?
About good 5-7 minutes.
That's plenty of time. Okay. So this will serve as kind of a little bit of a foundation of my understanding and my approach to not just the word love, but also certain contexts and certain relationships, such as marriages and committed relationships. So one of the things that I teach in one of my courses is about a guy named Robert Sternberg. He has a triarchy theory of love, and he talks about 3 ingredients to love. And what he looks at are 8 different types of love. And he says that there's different types of love based on different ingredients. And just imagine a triangle. And at the top of the triangle is passion. On the left side, the left corner is intimacy. On the right corner is commitment. And what he says is there's 8 different types of love. And based on what the ingredients are that you have in your relationship with that person, that's the type of love you have. So I'll try to run through all of them briefly for you. And just going around the triangle, the first ingredient is intimacy. And people think intimacy or intimate equals sex. Not the case at all. Intimacy is just a close, connected, vulnerable relationship with somebody. You're intimate with your family. You're intimate with your friends. You're close with them. You like them. You trust them. You care about them. And you like them. But intimacy, if intimacy is the only ingredient, then you like somebody. There's no passion and there's no commitment. You just like them. If you go to passion and passion's the only ingredient, well, now you have something called fatuous love. Think of celebrity crushes, maybe a student and their professor. There's this crush, there's this attraction, but there's no intimacy because they probably don't even know each other, let alone there's no liking because they don't really have any connection. And there's definitely no commitment because they don't really know each other. So fatuous love is just that infatuation. You're in love with somebody. Oh, Justin Bieber, I love. No, you don't. You're infatuated and you're attracted, but that's it. Beyonce, it's just fatuous love. That's one ingredient. The other end is commitment. If commitment's the only thing that's there, then clearly passion's missing and intimacy's missing. Think of couples as they get older, maybe grandparents, they stay together for the family or for financial reasons. They sleep in opposite rooms or different rooms. There's no intimacy really anymore. The passion's gone, but they're committed. They stay together. Not a good, pretty sight, but you see how only one ingredient is involved. Then you start combining them. We'll start with one of the most popular, romanticized, no pun intended, types of love, which is romantic love. That's the combination of intimacy, you like somebody, and passion, you're attracted to them. That's the one that Hollywood writes movies about. That's the one that songs are made of. But romantic love is missing an ingredient. What is it, TK? You muted. Now you got to participate.
Okay. Interactive. I'm sorry. Let me get off mute.
So the romantic love has intimacy and it has passion, but what's it missing? The third ingredient, which is what? Commitment. There it is. So romantic love is when you fall in love. The honeymoon phase. Yeah, put her back on mute. She gets a point, but put her back on mute. So you got it. You're right. It's romantic love, which is missing commitment. And so you think of falling in love initially, that honeymoon phase initially. And because think about it, you fall in love, you're not worried about commitment, you're worried about right now. But understand something about that romantic phase and that honeymoon phase. I oftentimes rain on my students' parades because a lot of them think that this honeymoon's supposed to last forever. And one of the things that I teach them early on is it doesn't naturally. What happens after research shows about 12 to 18 months, nature turns the faucet off that was really pouring into the tub of love for the first 12 to 18 months. Your dopamine, your oxytocin, all your neurotransmitters and hormones are flowing naturally. Nature hooks you up with this tidal wave of emotions that you want to be around that person. You don't have to do anything. It's passive. But eventually when nature connects you to, turns the faucet off. We're done. We did our thing. And so you start to fall out of love or things start to change or he doesn't love me anymore. She doesn't. I don't feel the same way. That's because nature did its job and now you're together. The rest is on you. So early on in a relationship, you have romantic love, passion and intimacy. Y'all know what that's about. If you don't, sorry to hear about that. Hopefully you do one day. So what happens then oftentimes is you talk about combinations. A lot of times when people are in romantic relationships or romantic love in a relationship happens, go not long enough time, they'll commit to each other. And so now they like each other a lot. They have a lot of passion. They commit. And a lot of times that romantic love will transform into what they call companionate love, where they still like each other a lot. And now they're committed to each other. They spend time around each other a lot. Next thing you know, 7 years goes by and what happens? The passion fades. The passion's gone. I was going to ask you, Shanda, what's gone in that situation, that scenario? You have intimacy, you have commitment, but what's missing, Shanda?
Passion. She ain't paying attention.
Passion. She's paying attention. She got it.
Okay.
She got it.
Damn, we going to school? Okay.
So you're in class. Every day's a school day, especially when I'm on the spot. So now you have companionate love. What's that look like? Well, you're besties, you're roommates. You've lost that passion. You've lost that spark. You like each other. You still love being around each other. You're still committed, but something's missing. And oftentimes when this happens in a relationship, one person might still feel enough passion or might be fine. One person might not. This is when infidelity takes place. That person goes outside the relationship to satisfy that desire for passion instead of talking to their partner and trying to rekindle what they lost. Because oftentimes what happens is they don't realize they lost it. Life, kids, things get in the way. And one day they're like, something's missing. But now it's been so long, your spouse is used to it. They don't know what to do. and you don't even know how to go to them and say, hey, listen, the spark's gone. What do we do? They're like, well, I've been fine for 5 years. We just been chilling, whatever. So if you don't confront your spouse and say, let's work on building it back together, you go out and now you sacrifice the foundation you built with one person over one ingredient with another person. So a lot of times that'll happen. And here's another thing. You ladies can tell me if this is true or if you see this. And I know Shanda does, because the way she was talking earlier, I can tell her man is on a pedestal and I can tell she's on a pedestal. And what I learned a long time ago was this, that you can be best friends with your partner, with your spouse, with your husband, you can be best friends, but you can't be best friends first. You got to be husband or wife first, best friends second. Because when they become best friends first, they've lost the significance of being a loved one, of being a husband or a wife.
Ryan,
you agree or no?
Yes, no, I totally agree.
Right.
Although we was friends back in high school, but
that doesn't count. You can start as friends. A student actually said that, and I said you can start as friends, which is usually how it works out. Like you start as friends. We're just friends. Yeah, let me know how that works out for you.
We started as friends. We got pregnant about a month later.
Okay, yeah, we'll skip that. Pass. All right, so you start as friends, you fall in love, but eventually you commit, and then you're in that situation. So, companionate love has two ingredients: intimacy and commitment. Missing passion. So I'll go to the next combination, then we'll get to the whole deal, the ideal approach. Say it again.
I said, come on and teach us.
Yes. So you got romantic love, two ingredients. You got companionate love, two ingredients. But here's a tricky one. What if you have passion and commitment, but you're missing intimacy? What's that about?
That's a big deal. Intimacy is important.
That's a big deal, because that's big in my.
I give two examples, that make the point about what this looks like. So the easiest one to think of is, think about a rebound. What happens when you rebound from one relationship and jump into another one way too fast with somebody you're attracted to? You jump into the relationship.
Trying to hide their feelings.
No, don't overthink it. So you jump into the relationship. So you jump in with someone you're attracted to, and then you jump into a full-blown relationship. So you're committed. What are you missing? You don't know this person.
Intimacy.
You've never spent time around them on an intimate level to get to know who they are. So you spend 6 months with this rebound, and you start to realize, I don't really even like you. Here's another example. Y'all might see this often. Hollywood, very often you see two actors, they do a love story together, a movie together, right? On romance, whatever it is. They fall in love on set. They're engaged 6 months later. They get married. A year later, they divorce. Why'd that happen? Well, because they fell in
know each other.
They fell in love with each other's character. They ain't fall in love with each other. So when they finally, after the movie was wrapped, found out who they were, they're like, I don't even like you. You leave your stuff everywhere. You're not. It's like, yeah, you fell in love with me on set. That wasn't me. So when you fall in love with someone before you know who they are, you're missing intimacy. So that's a weird combination, passion and commitment. Whoa, too fast, slow down. And then that brings me to, obviously, what they call consummate love. And this is hard to find, harder to keep. But ideally, I teach my students, and I want you to know, it ideally should be the healthy standard that you and your partner are at least aware of and shooting for. That's where you have intimacy, you have passion, and you have commitment. And you might be spending more time on one than the other, or one might come more naturally. But if you're cognizant about them, you won't let them slip. And I always tell my students, I just told you that passion's going to run out at some point, but be mindful. After it runs out passively, it's you and your partner's job actively to catch that, to get that spark, to anchor in those passionate feelings. And you got to actively, you get the surprise, the spontaneity. You have to do things to spice things up throughout the relationship. So you can keep that same passion alive, but it's going to require effort. And people don't want to put a lot of effort in relationships. Exactly.
Did we just go to school? He just took us to school.
Pass the office.
I like that motto. I like that motto, though. I think that really puts perspective on it, because we throw that word love around. I love pizza. I love my grandma. I love my girlfriend. But that's the same word, different kinds of love here. What are we talking about?
And then I learned about, you can help me with this. I learned about agape love.
That's the Greek philosophy there that they're talking about. And so that gets into really like definitional approaches. And I also, on a side note, that's one model. That's Sternberg's model to give you to think about ingredients. Then you got different approaches of love. And getting aside from that model I just talked about and talking about what you're talking about, TK, I also distinguish what I see that many people confuse with the word love. They confuse the feeling associated to love, which is more the romantic love, to the action, which is the caring and the effort. And that's loving someone that you, and through your actions. That's really true. I think that's the deepest, most genuine, realist, what would I say? Concrete core type of love, where you're out of your actions is where you speak the
Wait, here go Casey. Casey came back, y'all.
Where are the questions at? Yeah. What do we got? We got comments.
Casey said, "Thank you, Foxy Professor."
George, that's good stuff right there, man. Keep that going strong. That's good.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, so to that last part you said, well, the last part before the last part, about the passion, and you have to actively work at passion. People, a lot of people ask, because we've been married for 20 years next week, and people think it just happens. No, it caused. Thank you. It caused. It took work.
20 years. 20 years.
That's a long time.
That's a long time.
We were talking today, like, dang, 20. We've been together 21 years and married 20. But I said that to say, when people ask me, the one thing I tell people all the time is go away together and reconnect. It's easy to go on a date and then go back home. No, take a
trip
for the weekend. I don't care if you go to West Palm Beach, go to a hotel. You all need to get away from everything, reconnect, and see if this is what you really want to do. I don't ever advise anyone to stay in a relationship where they're unhappy, but I do advise them to make sure that's what you want before you decide, I'm leaving. Make sure you've done all you can. Make sure that you've done your part. You know what I mean? And that, okay, you know what? I've tried all I can, and it's just not going to work. You can't make someone love you. You can't make someone do the work that you're putting in. But
and you got to have a partner that has the same philosophy as you do too, or else you're working on your own.
Exactly.
It has to be mutual. So thank you so much, Rob. We may have a conversation on relationships or something.
Let me say one more thing, because it actually ties last weekend. It's there when you were talking about what you just said, which is spot on. It's funny because last week I heard it when I was reading the things about Will and Jada, and I saw the clip that came out. Some things came out after the show, and one of the clips that came out was Jada sticking a phone in Will's face, trying to tell him what to say. Did y'all see that?
Yeah.
So what she was talking about was trying to get him to say how this therapist, her name's Esther Perel, she's a genius. That's who she was talking about. I guess she met with them, I guess, and I was going to quote her right now, and it was funny that they actually met with her because she's an absolute genius, and she has this. Basically, the takeaway was, and I was pointing out what you were talking about, Shanda, which was the thing that will make your relationship work and last a long time, which is the comfort and the connection and the compatibility. It's also toxic, or I should say, it's also problematic to what will make your relationship passionate. And what she talks about is the contrast between comfort and desire, or familiarity and desire. She talks about that. She says they're both contradicting terms in a relationship. And she says that, like you said, what happens with most couples is they get comfortable, they get into a routine that works for everybody, but that will absolutely kill anything new. Spontaneous desire is gone. It's gone. So you, like you said, Shanda, you have to shake things up. You have to inject that. You have to make sure you do those things actively, or it will not happen.
Exactly. Oh, that was so good.
Easier said than done.
It is, because you can be mad at somebody and don't really like them that day. But if y'all plan to do something, still stick to your guns and do it, because it's important to reconnect. There's nothing more miserable than being in a relationship where you don't even speak to the same person, speak to that person in their house. I cannot do that. My husband knows if we're arguing, we're having a disagreement, we may take a minute to step back, but we're gonna talk about that thing, because
that's right. We're gonna talk.
You have to
walk around and just act like we're strangers. I can't do that. That hurts.
You have
it
to.
Hurts internally. Like, it makes you feel sick.
That's because you care, right? That's what you
care.
I see the superstars joining us right now.
Yay! There she is.
Hey, everybody. Come on with the applause. Two times.
You got a break?
She muted.
Y'all, I'm sorry. I'm still at this event, but I could not come on to my Talk Miami family and spread my love and joy.
You in cold weather?
We miss you. We know you're busy.
I'm in Philly.
She in a different city 3 times a week.
We're literally rounding off the last little bit of this tour, and then I'll be in a more stable place once again. But I just wanted to tune in to see how to say hello to our Talk Miami family. Hello, Tarika.
Look, everybody's saying hi to you, Cindy.
Hey, Katrina. Hey, Ryan. Welcome back. Hey, Casey Craig.
Listen, tonight when you go back to your room or on the bus, go back and rewatch this, honey. Ryan took us to school.
He took us to school.
To the schoolhouse, honey.
Talking about love and relationships, right in my wheelhouse.
Frozen.
Shout out to Casey in the comments. Look for Casey's comment. Cindy, look for Casey's comment in the comments.
Yeah. Cindy, we had our first proposal. Casey proposed to Ryan live on air. Yes.
My first proposal too.
Casey about to bring the thunder on your ass. Don't Don't sleep, Ryan. Kay Sabrina
Slide in the DMs. You know it. You see the handle right there.
Y'all have given me a headache tonight. I have laughed so much that the side of my head hurts.
I wanted to chime in. I wanted to chime in on this conversation.
Go ahead, do it.
Yeah.
But go ahead and prompt me with the question, Shonda. I know you know.
What did you
can't.
catch? What do you know? What did you catch?
We were moving into topic 2. She could jump in on that one.
Let's do it,
Shonda, if you want.
Yeah, you don't want to mess with topic 1, Cindy.
Yes, topic 1 kind of topic 1 stress
Cindy,
out, honey.
Topic number 1 was crazy. Yeah.
So see, I got over that stress. I've been watching it for 3 weeks.
She watched 3 seasons of it though, Cindy. When you watch it back, she watched 3 seasons.
I watched 3 seasons.
See, that's the problem.
A lot of swapping though.
So moving on. The next topic I want to talk about is consequences, right? Good. So we know there are good and bad consequences. We're not going to talk about, we don't have to talk about the good consequences because I really want to focus on the bad consequences. So I was looking up, we know the definition of, you know what? I made some little stuff and I haven't even been posting it. See, look at the girl. Who and what determines if a consequence is too much? The offender or the offended? So I went ahead and looked at the definition of consequence, just in case somebody doesn't know. A result or effect of an action or condition. And the example was, many have been laid off from work as a consequence of the administration's policies. However, I looked up another terminology. It said good and bad. A consequence is any change, good or bad, in the environment following a behavior that makes the behavior more or less likely to happen. And I want to talk about consequences because I was having a conversation with someone and they were upset that someone reacted to how they treated them, which they felt was too much or over the top or a little exaggerated. And I also want to speak about briefly the consequence Will Smith received, which is not being able to attend the academy for 10 years because of what he did. How do you all feel? I know we might have touched on it last week, but now that they have put out what the actual consequence is, how do you all feel about that? It's a 2-part question. Do you feel it fits the incident, or does it matter what it is because it's on the Oscars or the Academy Awards to implement what a consequence is because it happened in their on their stage at their time? They can implement any consequence they want. So 2-part question. Do you feel it's too much, or do you agree with the Oscars because it happened to them? And I say to them because it's in their arena. Well, let's Cindy go first because you have to hang up.
Yeah, I think the consequences for Will Smith not attending the Oscars is fair. You know, I found myself outside because the lobby was too loud. But I feel like the Oscars asking Will Smith to not come back for another 10 years, that's totally fair. Totally fair. He wasn't asked to give back his Oscar.
Right. It could have been worse.
It could have been completely worse. So, okay, he got an Oscar. He won't get nominated for another 10 years anyway. So I think he's pretty much in a good place.
So do you think it was not harsh enough?
Harsh enough is relative. You know what I'm saying? Like, how harsh can you be on? Like, like how harsh can you be on somebody who just like slapped the taste out of somebody's mouth and didn't cause any other problems prior or post? Like, come on, like, let's move on.
Yeah. Okay. Go ahead, TK.
I think of everything that I do, and I don't take anything personal. I believe in the 4 agreements. Cindy, we talk about the 4 agreements all the time. This isn't anything personal. At the end of the day, the Academy has rules and regulations. And Shonda, we talk about rules and regulations all the time. And if you break one of those rules, there are consequences for your actions. So do I believe them not exactly? Do I believe them not inviting him back for the next 10 years was harsh? No. There is consequences. That's the reason why we have laws and bylaws. And if you know that you have conduct rules and you broke them, there are consequences. So whatever sentence they gave him, he deserves it at the end of the day. The problem that I do have, though, is everyone, meaning the public, and this is just my personal opinion, don't come for me, I said what I said. I just have a problem with him being the first time something like this has happened, and we are just coming down on him at a very hard time in his life, when this man has never been in the media. Well, I mean, scandals with his wife, but I mean, just for doing going to jail for robbery, he has nothing, but he has built his way up the ladder to deserve that Oscar. And I just don't want people to forget him for that. Him getting that Oscar, and Cindy, I agree with you, he at least didn't have to give back his Oscar because he earned that one. That's my thought.
Mr. Ryan David, you on mute. Ryan, you're on mute.
I thought you muted me. I didn't remember mute myself. My bad. Yeah. So where do I even begin about that? First of all, you're right. He kept his Oscar, which is why I think the 10 years, even if it's think what you want about, I think that they knew whatever they did was going to have to be harsh to make up for the fact that they weren't taking his Oscar. So they're like, okay, let's do this. To your point, Sydney, like, what does it mean? What does it accomplish? What does it do? It seems like I said, I think they were kind of compensating for the fact they didn't do anything on the day, and they also weren't going to take his Oscar. So let's give him a quote harsh punishment that really isn't that harsh, but at least will seem like a lot because it's 10 years, but it kind of is. Who knows? To your original question, Shanda, and I saw in the comments, Travis says, since when can Hollywood judge? I don't think this is about anyone judging per se, except for other people like TK said. I think the Oscars aren't really judging as much as they are handing out a punishment. It's arbitrary because they had to figure out what they're going to do. So they can do that. We're not going to invite you back, boss. You can't be coming up and setting a precedent of people can just walk up on the stage. So now everybody else needs to know, if you step out of line or you step on the stage, you might get 10 years too. So just think about that and blah, blah, blah. I think that's the case, but I don't know. I mean, that's one angle of this, right, Shanda, which is, what was the Oscars too harsh, or was that not harsh enough? And then the other one was just in general. You know, it's funny because I think that we have this moral outrage that we just have on deck, just waiting for anybody in the public eye to step out of line. And like you said, Will Smith ain't got no history, not a blemish in terms of in the public eye. And now this one thing, you want to take the magnitude and the weight of a career criminal and try to put it on. And I'm not even a fan of Will, and I think he was dead wrong 100 times over. But I'm still speaking as far as realistically and rationally, you still don't come down on him like this one incident carries the weight of a career criminal. Like, let's keep it in perspective here, bro. Like, what are we doing here? You know what I mean? I think that you're in trouble when you start to have to make up for something, because now he has no punishment. And so fine, good. There's a statement. That's really, this is not as much of a punishment as much of it is as a statement to me. I think the Oscars
exactly
a statement. You agree?
Yeah.
And the last thing I'll say is, I bet I can promise you this is another thing that you see very often. What happens is funny because the rage is unjustified. The rage is over the top. It's, what is a word I can't think of right now. At first, the rage is excessive, but then watch what's going to happen in 2 years. Everybody will be, oh man, forgive Will, man, he did his time. That was a long time ago, and now everybody will be pushing for the comeback story. Same
right.
people.
So the truth is, the Academy they're an institution that has laws and policies that they have to keep the integrity of their organization.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. He is not an exception to it.
Good.
And he's now made an example of, so that, you know, that was the situation. Did they ever think, I'm sure the Academy never even had a protocol for this.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because it never would be something that would occur to them.
I can say an amendment.
Chris Rock,
right, so there was definitely some addendums in place.
As an addendum is going in place right now.
The Will Smith addendum. If you step on stage,
right.
Security, run and stop them.
So they had to sit down at the round table and figure out what they needed to do and call them.
Burn that round table is what they need
figure out who they want to talk to. I'm sure it threw all of them. Even Chris Rock wasn't expecting it. You know, he didn't know what was going to happen, but I'm sure he didn't expect that to happen. So that really threw or brought up the conversation of consequence. But one of the another scenario I was talking about was when you're in when you're in situations with people, and if TK offends me in whatever way, whether it's calling me a bad name, whether it's
slapping you in the face on stage,
or anything, and I choose to not deal with TK anymore. Does TK have the right to say, Shanda, you're doing too much? Shanda, you're going too far. Shanda, it was not that serious. Why you so extra? You like to call her. But
I do say that to her on a daily basis.
A lot of times I feel that people want to put limitations on how they react to what you do to them. And you cannot treat someone some type of way and then tell them how to react to it. You can't tell me how to react to how you treat me. So that was my other question for regarding consequences as well. That is your consequence for mistreating me. I ain't fooling with you no more. And I think as a human, I have that right to not want to be in your space anymore, especially if it's a negative space. So, Cindy, what do you think about that? Or what are your thoughts on that?
No, I agree. And I've been definitely, I've been on both sides. I've been treated a certain way and say, I'm ghost.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's how people get it. I just get MIA. And I'm not talking about Miami.
Shout out to Dade County. Oh.
So then, but there's also, when I've crossed boundaries and people go, I'm breaking up with you.
Yeah.
And these are friends, They say, I need some space. I don't like the way that you handled that, and that was not okay. And you can't tell me how to react to it. And you got to respect it. Yeah. Because everybody's
said they were breaking up. They used the word break up with you though, Cindy. They said, I'm breaking up with you as a friend.
No, they said I need my space. But technically it's like totally a breakup,
right.
You don't really know you're going to get back together or not. But still you sort of, it's a lesson. It's like, oh, I guess I can't dictate how this relationship's going to go, because I was like, this happened and the rest of it is on you. Now, granted, some people do have their own sensitivities and their own triggers, which will to react to a particular situation in a particular kind of way.
Uh-oh, Cindy, move to the right. You went out there for a second.
Let's step back.
Move to the right, Cindy. You pause. If you can hear us.
While she's trying to get her.
What happened?
One, I believe in boundaries, and there is nothing wrong. The boundaries, when you set boundaries, you're setting those boundaries for yourself. I have this saying that you have to teach people how to treat you.
All the time.
And so just because you don't like my boundaries that I'm setting up to protect my peace, to keep my joy, that's not my problem. You have a personal problem. Mm-hmm. On my end, I'm going to let you know how I feel, what I don't like, and it's up to you if you want to stay. And guess what? If you feel as though you don't want to be friends anymore, God bless you, and I wish you well. But over here, I have to teach someone how I want to be treated. And to me, that's setting boundaries, and it's okay.
Amen.
It's okay to tell people no.
Right.
So that's how I feel.
Mr. David.
I'll say this, that people think that when people go to psychotherapy that they go for mental illnesses and psychological disease. Many of people, I would say a lot of people, if not most people, go to psychotherapy to learn boundaries, to learn how to be assertive. That's what they go to for assertiveness training. It's because they lack what you just pointed out, TK. They don't have boundaries. And so they get into relationships where they're taken advantage of and things go wrong. So I was going to jump in earlier just to say, but it's just, I can still mention it. So you're asking about, you framed it really well, Shanda, earlier. And I was just going to throw out there for our audience, anybody who's listening or following along with this train of thought, I really can't help but have my mind work in a psychological manner. I just wanted to point out that we hear the word, and I know everybody's heard it, and you all might have your own understanding of it, but some of you may not have any really true definition or an actual definition of it. The word gaslighting. And so you hear that word a lot. And so I just want to clarify that in psychology, this term, it's not an official term. It's kind of a pop culture term. But what they use that terminology to describe is what you're talking about, Shanda, where it's a fine line between somebody offending someone them getting upset and the person who offended the other person trying to convince them that it wasn't offensive and that they're being dramatic. And that's really what gaslighting is, where I hurt you, offend you, or do something to you, and then I try to convince you that you're making a big deal out of it, that it wasn't that bad, that you're exaggerating, that something's wrong with you, and you start to question your own reality. That's being gaslit, and you start to doubt whether or not you actually are the problem or not. This is somebody who's psychologically manipulating you. So I have a YouTube video that I've written about gaslighting. It's actually gaslighting versus something called blame shifting, which is also something we see in relationships that you might not have heard about as much. And I need to start recording these damn things so y'all can watch them. But this is a good motivation for me to get back in front of the camera. And in that video, I want to basically compare and contrast the two types of manipulation in gaslighting and in blame shifting. But yeah, I mean, going back to just this conversation at hand, and I'll take any questions from you guys or from the chat. I think absolutely, if you're in a relationship, I think the context is very important. If you're in a relationship, you need to understand, even if you don't think something's offensive, if they do, and you're in a relationship you care about, your first job is to find out, well, I don't think it's a big deal. Why do you? Tell me. If you do, if you think it is, talk to me. Maybe you didn't perceive what I did, you know, in an accurate way. And maybe I'm not following why you're upset. We got to communicate. And second ago, I was going to point out before we transition into this conversation that a foundation that I teach my students and I talk about in relationships, the foundation is communication. We've talked about it a little bit here. If you don't have it, and you said it, Shanda, I think I was going to jump in when you said you'll talk to your man. It hurts me to not talk to you. Maybe you need a minute, maybe you need a night, but you eventually have to talk. If you don't, your relationship's doomed to fail. Every relationship.
Exactly. Yeah.
I think the person who gets offended is the one who's going to come and say, look, this is how I feel and this is what I think is. And then the context is relevant. Like, then everyone can just go their own way. If the person who offended you feels like it's out of line, like, all right, well, I guess this friendship's over, you know? Like,
right.
Ooh, thank you so much, both of you. That was good. Cindy, I guess she's
in Philly, man.
Yeah, but she live in Philly, walking the streets and all.
I feel like it's cold over there too. If anyone, our audience, if y'all have any questions before we close up tonight, please go ahead and put your questions in the comment. Questions in, I said it right. Questions in the comment section. I'm tired, y'all. Today was the day.
Oh, good.
So, if you have any questions, please put them in the comment. We'll take a minute or two to answer those. But while we're doing that, we're going to go ahead and go to our girl. Once I find her video, I'm going to go to PK's motivational moment.
Yay! Wait, where's Cindy? Motivational moments.
No.
You want me to sing?
Motivating. Don't sing for
us. Well, hi everybody. It's Monday, and with Monday comes motivation. And so, speaking of relationships, and we talked about love today. And one of those things, when we talk about love, the most important thing in love is called self-love. To me, and Ryan, I would love to hear from you later after this. You can't love, or I shouldn't say you can't. To me, it will be hard to love someone else until you learn to love yourself. Because you know how to love, you know your happiness when you know the things that you love. So I wanted to share this moment with you from TD Jakes.
No, you said can't. You said it right.
A lot of us delay our happiness. When I get to this level, when I get my degree, when I get the kids, when I get married, I'm going to be happy. You have to own your own happiness. Take it away from other people demanding that they make you happy. Your kids are not going to make you happy. Your spouse is not going to make you happy. A big house is not going to make you happy. Own your own happiness and be responsible for doing those things that bring joy into your own heart, independently of life and people and money and all of that stuff. Right. It doesn't necessarily give you a happiness. You have to take responsibility of that peace and that joy that lives inside of your heart and not inside of your stuff. Challenge your own story. Change the way you talk to yourself about who you are and what happened to you and what you're going to do in your life. You wrote the script. Change the story.
Wow.
I saw that video from time to time. I love finding motivational quotes, videos, and I just thought that one was so powerful, because before we learn to love someone else, make sure that you love yourself, because it's unfair for me to put all my happiness into my own husband to make me happy. That's not his job.
Right.
Well, 50% maybe, but still, you get what I'm saying. The thing is, at the end of the day, you learn how to make yourself happy. When you look in that mirror, are you happy at the person that you're staring at? Because if so, like TD Jake said, Now it's time to change the narrative. Start saying the things that you love. Start doing the things that you love. You can't be happy for someone else because at the end of the day, that's going to get old. Start learning what Shanda loves to do. Start learning what Ryan loves to do. And if anybody who truly loves you would be in your life and accept the things that you love. Shanda, you've been married for 20 years. I'm so happy you and Georgia, my relationship goals. I'm just now going on year 5. So I can't even imagine another 15 years. And it's not easy. But I know I can come to you because I know that you and George share something that is so important. But I bet at the end of the day, Shanda loves herself, George loves himself, and when you guys come together, it's a family love. And that's what I want to share with you today for all of our listeners. Make sure that you are not putting it on someone else to make you happy. I would love to hear from you, Ryan and Shanda. How do you feel about that?
Listen, it's 9:05, and you brought something up that I could talk about for 3 hours straight.
Oh wait, hell no.
I'm not going to. You can have me back on.
I'm yawning already.
I know.
You can have me back on, but I'm not going to. But this is first of all, he nailed it.
Yeah.
Second of all, amen to everything you just said.
Thank you.
Third, this is something that I teach from a fundamental level in my class, Psychology of Personal Effectiveness. And what I start with is a game changer for most of my students is what I try to teach them is, and here's the underlying philosophy. I won't get into the details of how I could elaborate on it. Here's the underlying philosophy of everything you just said, TK. This is why I jumped in and said, you said it right. You can't do it. This is the underlying philosophy. You cannot do anything for anyone else in this life that you are not able to do for yourself. You can't love, trust, respect, depend on, rely on, or do anything for someone else until you can do it for yourself. First of all, that's foundational. The problem is we'll do more for other people than we'll do for ourselves. So we want to try to help and give and do for them. And we want to have it in theory oftentimes. And other people want to give because they'll give to get. There's all sort of reasons and caveats to why people do it. But you're doing it wrong if you're going to the table, not the round table, but if you're going to the table with your partner to try and provide something that you can't provide, or worse, you're going to the table asking for something that you can't bring to the table. So I'll say this. It seems selfish. And one of the biggest misunderstandings, I did a whole YouTube video on this one. This one's out there. You can see this one. I'll look for the link here in a minute and put it up there. There's a big misunderstanding about what true self-help is. Personal growth and self-help. Ideally, personal growth, self-help is only for you to get better, grow, and be stronger and be able to give to yourself so that you can then turn and give to other people. Period. And that involves being able to love yourself, rely on yourself, depend on yourself. So you absolutely have to be able to do things for yourself before you can do them in a relationship. And this is why young folks, it's so funny. And I point this out to them. You're in a relationship, a whole ass relationship, trying to love another person, and you haven't even figured out how to love yourself or what you need. It's not your fault, but you have to understand this. You have to know where that is. I'll say this, the last thing that I'll say, and I learned this from Tony Robbins. Tony Robbins taught me this about relationships, and it's a game changer as well. And you have to take in mind what I just said. But he said most people have relationships backwards. They look at relationships as a place to go to get. I'm going to go to get attention, get affection, get love. I want to get something from the other person. If you have two people both go into the relationships to get or to take, who's getting anything? I'm busy taking. You're busy taking. You might get crumbs at best. So what you have to do is you have to absolutely rewire your whole philosophy about love, which goes against everything in your selfish nature, which is I'm getting into the relationship. I'm going to my person to give to them, to fill their cup up. Now, like you said, TK, you can't fill from an empty cup. Speaking of which, I'm thirsty as hell. You can't fill from an empty cup. You have to fill your own cup first. There it is. There it is. So but you have to think I'm going to go into this relationship to give. Because here's the thing, and I'll end with this. First of all, you have to be able to give to yourself. So once you're giving to yourself, you're filling your own cup. Then you get into a relationship to fill their cup. If they have the same philosophy, and they can do the same, I can fill my cup. You can fill my cup. I can fill your cup. You can fill my cup. Double the cup. Like you're doubled up. So, but if you get into a relationship with someone where you go to give and they're takers, that'll be out of balance. That's an unhealthy, codependent, toxic relationship. So you have to be mindful that the person you're in a relationship with has the same philosophy. That's really critical. But you got to think of relationships. And I guarantee you that's what Shanda and her husband do. I guarantee you if it's worked for 5 years, that's what y'all are doing, whether you believe it or not. I'm going to give. And they also give. You have to give, and fill each other up. You can always take care of yourself, and they can too. But let me give, and they're doing the same. That's where you're really, really fulfilled in a relationship.
But you know what, Ryan, you hit it around the head. Both of you all there. I love this conversation because y'all know I hate flying. Well, if you don't know, Ryan, I despise flying. I have a whole panic attack.
You said flying on a plane,
flying on a plane.
But I love this philosophy people use that you can't put your life jacket on or your oxygen thing on. You can't help anyone else till you put yours on first.
Right.
Because I guarantee
take care of you.
Being married to my husband, my best friend, my partner, my everything, there are going to be times in your relationship where he's going to need you and you're going to need him.
Right.
There have always been times where I'm broken. I'm there's something that happened. I'm torn down. Maybe I was triggered, and he has to be the one to cover me because I just can't at this moment. I can't. And there are times where he's in that place, and I have to be the one to say, okay, it's okay, baby. What do we do now? Let's pick yourself up. What we're going to do. But if I have never had a chance to heal from that past, I couldn't be what he needed me to be in this marriage. And same for him. If he didn't get through or went through what he went through and healed from that, he couldn't be the husband I needed in this relationship. And
that's funny, man. I don't mean to interrupt you, but it's just funny, and to get personal, what you just described is the reason pretty much why I'm single. I've been in a couple of great relationships, but the 2 longest relationships I was in, you could throw 3 of them in there. They weren't able to do what you just described, which is when I needed to be picked up to be able to pick me up and carry me. And I'm a lot to carry. I understand that. But what you just said is the reason why those relationships did not last and did not work out.
Exactly. And that was big. But that's what we had to learn. That I was going to say that this 20 years ain't come because, you know, of course, God bless us, but
it wasn't peaches and cream all the time.
We had to do the work.
That's
I came from an abusive relationship, literally months when I met George. George came from a relationship. It wasn't abusive, but it wasn't great. And my husband himself has been shot 4 times. He has had to raise himself. He has not trusted anyone. So the main thing I needed from him in our relationship in the beginning was trust. And I did not. I wouldn't say I had 100% trust from him because to him, I was just somebody else that may leave him or hurt him or break his heart or do something wrong or steal his money or whatever the case may be. But it took us talking, having communication, learning each other and understanding, okay, this is what triggers her. Let me not do this. I had to be open to him and tell him what my triggers were. He had to tell me, well, if you say it to me like this is how I'm going to react. But we had to have those difficult conversations in order to. I'm gonna cry, y'all. I'm sorry.
No,
this is how you know it's real.
But guess what? Speaking of that, I'm gonna take over.
Okay,
that's why ahead. We want. That's the reason why we want to win. George, that man, if he's watching, and I know he is, happy birthday, George. You see that? You already know. That is from your Talk Miami family. Thank you for loving her because we know you keep her head up. And George, it is your day. We are wishing you a great birthday from your Talk Miami family.
For sure.
Yay.
Happy birthday, bro.
Thank you.
That's your king. That's your king.
That was great.
Hey, listen, Shanda, thank you for sharing that, man. It's not easy to talk about that, let alone on a live recorded podcast. Like, that's a big deal, man. I know you're really transparent with your story for the most part, you know, and that's your passion, and that's why you have the movement that you have with the Pain of Purpose. But like, it takes a lot to really get into that. Even still, after 20 years of in a healthy marriage, you know, that's still painful. It doesn't never go away. It doesn't
go away. But I just want people to know that they have to work at it. You have to work at your relationship. You can't just think that it's gonna just. I'm gonna go to sleep and wake up tomorrow. We're gonna be good. No. But you know, we're gonna have another conversation on relationships. I'm glad we went over because I will not be here next Monday, y'all. I will be.
Tell us why. Tell us why.
I'm going to Turks. I always say it wrong. So Turks and Caicos or Caicos.
Turks and Caicos. Turks and Caicos.
But why? Because it's your anniversary.
So that's why my island is in the background, honey. Because I'm ready to go. My bags are packed.
Okay, that's it.
For a whole week. A whole week. Yes, I'm happy that my husband gets to take a break. He works so hard. He works 6 days a week, and he never takes a day off. I have to beg him. So I'm glad we're going to take a break. We're going to celebrate.
Enjoy that. Enjoy that.
We're leaving on our anniversary. So y'all pray for us. Pray for me because y'all know like flying.
Oh,
I'm
George,
already.
George, please record her on this plane because we need footage. We need footage, George.
He ain't gonna do that. So he over there laughing. He ain't gonna do that because one time my husband snickered when I screamed, and I ain't talked to him the whole flight.
George, we need footage. We gonna play it.
TK, he was like, "Well, baby, it's okay. What's wrong?" The people, you know how the seatbelt light comes on. Every time the seatbelt light comes on, I panic because I think it's turbulence. So they always say, "We're getting ready to experience some turbulence." Oh Lord,
Why do you even tell me? Don't tell me.
Don't tell me. Just do it. So Joe, like, baby, it's okay. He kind of snickered. God looked at him. I ain't talking the rest of the flight. I was.
Look at you.
George, it's all right. I feel you. I just hold a hand.
But he was so sweet. He just rubbing my arm and telling me it's okay. And I'm over there just girl hyperventilating for nothing. We didn't even have turbulence. Oh no. But anyway, Ryan, thank you so much. I appreciate you for coming and always being available and giving us so much insight and so much knowledge. We really appreciate you.
Thank you
for everyone watching, you can follow us at Talk Miami Talk Show. On Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Talk Miami Podcast is on Spotify, iHeartRadio. Listen on Apple Podcasts and Google Podcasts at Talk Miami Talk Show. Ryan, can you tell the people how they can reach you?
At the Ryan David, man.
Okay.
On YouTube, Instagram, it's all the same.
Okay.
You Google. Casey, yeah, the DMs are wide open. At The Ryan David is my website. The Ryan David is all my social media. I'm not hard to find. You can just Google me.
Did you hear that, Shanda? He said Google me.
Oh,
damn.
PK, you may have to
Tell me.
do our outro because I'm frozen.
Okay. All right, everybody. We will see you guys next Monday. Take care because we're out. Peace.
Add it up. Okay, all right.
Bye, everybody. We'll
One
see you next Monday.
We've had a request to be on for 2 hours. We've had a request for a longer show.
I talk too much. I know that's what it is. I know.
To stay out my business.
My fault.
Travel partner. She know I panic on everything. So, but anyway, thank you all for coming. We hope to have Ryan back. You want Ryan to come back? Leave a comment.
I'm gonna ask you right now, live on air, Ryan. Shonda can't be here next week, so I need somebody. Ryan, I need you back next Monday.
Really? Real talk?
Me, you, and Cindy.
Real talk next week? Next Monday?
Live. Everybody, you're witness to this. Ryan, are you gonna come back next Monday?
What's next Monday? That's Easter Monday.
That's the 18th.
That's after Easter.
Easter Monday, though, right?
It's Easter. It's called Easter Monday, yeah.
Easter Monday.
Yeah, I'll jump on.
Ryan.
I'll jump on. Give me them topics.
And Shanda, you have a great trip. We'll see you when you get back. Happy anniversary and happy birthday, George.
Thank y'all so much. Good night, everyone.
Have a good trip. Have a safe trip. Shout